This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, welcome on. It's First Alert Weather Breakdown time. I'm your host, meteorologist Evan Thomason. Thank you for joining us on this glorious Monday morning here. So far, it's glorious. It's not going to end that way. But anyways, that's what we're here about. And for the region here for the day today, we were talking about rain returning. Now, you got a little sneak preview over the weekend. We did have some storms around. They certainly didn't hit everybody here for this from this past Saturday and Sunday, but a couple of you definitely got some good heavy downpours, at least brief heavy downpours at times here over the weekend, even a little splash of rain that I remember from Bossier yesterday. Point is, we are getting more abundant rain, I think, over the next couple of days, and getting more isolated storms around here for the afternoon that we're essentially going to have to dodge. And believe it or not, we've already seen a storm or two here already in place here this morning. Now, on top of that, I can't go any further without probably mentioning the main national weather headlines here are dominating what is now called Tropical Storm Erin. About an hour ago, Erin formed, the newest tropical system in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, on a normal normal basis, especially what we've had over the past four storms, this wouldn't be as much of a big deal if it weren't for the fact that this would be probably the first hurricane of the year. It will likely become the first hurricane of the year later on this week once it obviously matures and strengthens. Not only is it expected to become a hurricane, it's expected to become a major hurricane. We'll take a look at that forecast cone a little later on in our forecast. On top of that, let's get you on top of what we're recent weather, especially the storms coming up here for this week, and we'll also probably dive a little bit into the tropics as well. Again, that'll happen a little bit later on down the road if you want a new fresh face to see. It has been on quite some time. Anyways, welcome on to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Let's get into your local forecast here for the day today. That includes my audience. That also includes Devonte, who's literally just waiting on the other line as well. All right, so beautiful day on your way out the door here around the Arklatex, at least. This is our camera in Shreveport and Bossier. The camera itself pinpointed to the south end of town there. You got a little bit of some cumulus clouds trying to form, although they're, I would say, baby in nature. They kind of look relatively small. Still got a good amount of high-level cirrus clouds. But I will say, if you've taken a normal morning, especially from the mornings that we had on the First Alert Weather Breakdown last week, you didn't see much in terms of clouds at all. That was kickstarting kind of a very sunny day. The point is, we already have the moisture to produce the clouds here for now, and eventually it's going to spark in more numerous storms and more thicker clouds, especially thick cumulonimbus clouds. That word always tricks me up whenever I try to cumulus and cumulonimbus. Okay, I got it that time. Anyways, the point is, we got storms coming here for this afternoon. An influx of moisture. In fact, we've already seen early this morning, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we already saw like 1-2 brief little downpours in East Texas. And even even a few more cells in the overnight hours over by Monroe in Devonte's DMA, I believe, Sunday late night heading into Monday. So, point is, we have an influx of moisture along the I-20 corridor here for us around the region. All right, let's get into some other graphics. Live look on top of our Texarkana camera now, where we have less moisture around. A lot more beautiful blue sky picture, so to speak, there for you at that area. Meanwhile, for the what to wear forecast, do worry about the rain. Again, here for the day today. I won't say worry, but do not forget the umbrella on the way out the door. You're going to need the rain gear here for the day today. Rain boots on top of that as well. So we're expecting to pick up on these storms each and every day. So you want to make this what to wear forecast almost your habit, meaning don't forget it each and every day here for this work week, most likely coming on up. Here's your weather headlines as we roll on to rain. Yes, I wonder if somebody has probably somebody doesn't, but it would be really intriguing if somebody on the side were counting how many times I said the word rain today, because, again, it's not just rain now. It is rain down the road for the rest of the work week, and we could continue even with a few scarce little showers and storms even continuing on into your weekend as well. Hopefully not. I used an icon that kind of shows less of a chance of a storm here for this coming Saturday and Sunday, but it is still possible. If you notice, there's some cooler air up into Oklahoma. I see some of those yellow-green shades, but the problem is that cold front is not dipping far enough southward. We are instead dealing with rain and still some hot temperatures. At 90 right now in Shreveport, 89 in Texarkana, 85 in Natchitoches. That does not include the feels-like temperatures. Already in the mid to upper 90s all around the region here for us. So this is going to continue to ramp up the temperatures. Temperatures here for the day today, despite rain being around, here's the thing. Rain doesn't really cool us off by that much. Maybe just a little bit, especially with the cloud cover around. But in the grand scheme of things, there's no cold front coming through. It's not just today. It's a next couple of days thing where we continue to maintain the rain, still stuck here, and we continue to maintain these hot temperatures. Now, are they as hot as last week? No. Thankfully, no. 95 degrees today in Longview, 92 in Center, 93 in Marshall, 96 in Shreveport, 94 in Natchitoches, 92 in Homer. But we still maintain the temperatures right around that mark here throughout your work week. Temperatures 94, 95, 96. You get the point. All around in the mid-90s here all the way through this coming Friday. Feels like temperatures still going to be up there a little bit, low 100s here, which is just below the heat advisory criteria. There's no heat advisory in effect here for the day today. Just good news. At least taper off the temps just a little bit, but you get the point. It's still going to be hot. Here's a live look at our IR satellite pictures. Now we start to talk about the rain showers ahead for us. Let's get you the full picture and get my head out of the way here for you. We are continuing to deal with two low pressure centers right now. One on either side of us here, one off the Gulf, one is off to our north and west, which is associated with a stationary front, which means this is going to stand still off to our north and west. The main action of what's giving us some storms here for the day today is from this low in the Gulf. Now, last week we had a high pressure system right on top of us. There's no high pressure system around anywhere to watch out for, which is why these low pressures are able to collapse on this moisture rolling into the region. So as we zoom on in early this morning and still continuously now, we're already filling in some storms along the coastline of Texas and New Orleans. And this is almost the same thing that happened last week, where we had storms along the coastline from Houston to New Orleans, but the high pressure system almost protected us from getting any of the storm coverage along the I-10 corridor. Now that we don't have the high-pressure system in place, that's why these storms are essentially flaring up northward into our region based on the rotation around the low-pressure center. So here's what you can expect out of the next couple days. Kind of some daily afternoon storms where the radar picture might look like something like this, vaguely. Thankfully, the severe weather threat is looking quite low with this system, which is good news on that front. If anything, it could have a few brief downpours that could lead into some areas of flash flooding, localized flash flooding, but I shouldn't see a tornado with this picture at all. And then again, it's a very tiny cool down over the next several days. So on our live look on our first alert Doppler radar, we did actually, again, see a stray shower or two earlier around. Thankfully, it looks like most of that is cleared up by now, so all of us are hanging around with dry conditions, at least locally. But you look off to our south, again, it might not look entirely impressive now, but we haven't reached the heat of the afternoon yet, which is going to mainly spark off these storms. So a couple of storms right along the coastline around Lake Charles and Houston here for now that are trying to move northward, and eventually they will make their way northward into the Arklatex. So here for this afternoon, I'm expecting storms anywhere, a couple spotty storms anywhere around the region here for the Arklatex. And for your Monday, there could be some areas that don't even see some rain here for the day today. That's why we say spotty and isolated storm coverages. The thing is, don't count your blessings if you do get dry here for the day today, because then we get storms Tuesday afternoon. In fact, Tuesday afternoon storms, especially from this future track alone, looking a lot more abundant than the storms that we should be getting out here from this afternoon. And then again on Wednesday, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. Less numerous storms should be around here for Thursday and Friday, but still, I'm expecting the presence of storms potentially rolling all the way into this weekend. All right, first, let's check to your tropics. This is new as of this hour. Just started prepping up these graphics here for you as the 9 a.m. hour, 9 a.m. show. Last time we updated the weather period here on KSLA News 12, this was not here. The point is, this is new as of an hour ago. Tropical storm Aaron. There it is. You can see the rotation around it here at this rate. There it is. Nice tight-knit circulation there. This is continuing to move westward over open waters. Not a lot of wind shear, not a whole lot of cloud cover either in the process as well. That's going to continue to move westward and strengthen as it does so. Check out this forecast cone here for you. In fact, I'm going to get it out of the way so you can view the full thing. By Tuesday, it's more of a sturdy tropical system. Probably by midday Wednesday, that's when it becomes a hurricane, most likely. And then by the weekend, again, this is going to take some time to get over here. But by the weekend, here's at least on the start of the weekend here for your Saturday, that's when it becomes potentially a major hurricane. That's right, 115 miles an hour. That is the equivalent of a Cat 3 storm. That'll be the first, not only hurricane of the year, but the first major hurricane of the year at that. Now, if you notice, most of this forecast cone is obviously headed westward towards the United States, but let's try to get you rest assured in this. Now, obviously, this is over a week out, so this could change at any point. But as of right now, we are expecting these spaghetti models are expecting this storm to curve northward. Thankfully, I wouldn't say well before, but at least a good distance before it even reaches the United States, let alone the Gulf. So I don't think this is going to be affecting the Arklatex really at all here for next week. The tail ends of these spaghetti models are pretty much in the early to middle part of next week. But this could roll the East Coast and definitely could roll around Bermuda for next week. So rest assured, I don't think we're expecting this to be a major problem in the days ahead, but we'll see. We'll obviously keep you first alert. Last thing, tropics-wise, we technically do have two other areas of interest that we're watching out for, but both only have a 10% chance of forming, so they shouldn't be doing anything, hopefully. They won't be doing anything to the Arklatex, that's for certain. 7-day forecast now. Just some isolated storms again each and every day. A little more frequent, a little more numerous around here for the start of this work week compared to the end of it. Highs are stuck in the mid-90s through Friday, and then we could bump up highs into the upper 90s once we get into the weekend. Most of that's because we have a less chance of storms around, a little less rain coverage around here for the weekend too. 20 and 10% rain chances on Saturday and Sunday, so I can't rule out rain entirely for this coming weekend, but again, it is looking less likely than the rain coverage that we are dealing with here to start off this week. All right, that was a full look at your full forecast ahead. Any questions? YouTube is our stream to watch that. When we come back, Devonte's on the other line. Me and him are going to have a good talk about what's happening in the tropics, what's happening here locally with the heat and the storms. We will get to it again after this. Welcome on back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Again, thank you very much for joining us here for the day today. We are not done. Well, we are done with the local forecast. Well, I guess we're not done with the local forecast because we're about to bring in another local meteorologist, Devonte Dixon. Welcome on to the show where we're pretty much just talking about our local forecast DMAs. First of all, how are you doing here for this Monday?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I know you're out in Monroe. Obviously, just to affirm, I believe you got storms when I was talking about it earlier. You did get storms early this morning, right?
It was only a few storms north of I-20, but it was mainly dry across the region outside of those few storms.
Yeah, it's just a few, but I know you got some flare-ups of some storms coming your way also over the next couple days as well. Obviously, it's plaguing here all week long, which means usually when it's something that lasts longer than a day here in the Arklatex, it's most likely affecting everybody around us as well. So I guess just talk about what you got coming up here over the next couple days with your stormy activity.
It's funny because, I was looking at your weather forecast, and a lot of things that you were talking about applies to us. Unsettled weather, rain just about every day, hot temperatures in the mid 90s, possibly upper 90s Friday and into the weekend, as we are going to be drier. So not much of a huge difference between us and you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've had lots of heat alerts as well over the past couple weeks. That filled our Arklatex, especially last week when we had feels like temperatures up to around 110. Now, I'm not sure what it is also heat-wise around here, but I feel like we haven't had as many 100-degree days around, at least here locally in Shreveport, as what we had last year. Can you compare, I guess, some of what you felt this year in the summer bringing compared to last summer? Because at least from a Arklatex standpoint, I don't remember this summer being – it's been as substantially hot, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is we haven't been as hot for as many days this summer compared to the last one.
I agree. I was thinking about that myself. I was just like, it has been hot, but not, crazy hot compared to previous summers here in our neck of the woods. And so – I know we made it into the low 100s a few times with our high temperature being 102. But I know going back, not even last summer, but summer before last, 2023, we had days where, like just several days where temperatures were in the triple digits. That was the summer when I moved down here to Monroe. It was just, don't want to repeat that ever again. But I will say, compared to last year, it's not too bad. Could be worse, as always, especially down here in the deep south.
It always could be worse. You are correct about that. So yeah, I mean, I think only this. I might be wrong on this count, at least for us in the Arklatex, but I think we've only had an excessive heat warning once this entire summer. And we had like I wouldn't say a plethora, but we had it at least like 5, 6, 7 times last summer, which has at least been good for a little relief. I'm not sure. Because I remember seeing some excessive heat warnings that were closer to the Mississippi River line, I think. Yeah, I see you're nodding your head. So did you have some for? Do you cover you cover some of Mississippi, right? Did they have some of those issues?
We have you guys or Shreveport office, and also Jackson office because we cover parts of Mississippi, and they also cover part of Louisiana. So we go between Shreveport office and Jackson office. But yes, we did have we had some days where we had excessive heat warnings issued for parts of our region. So yeah.
So it's plural is what I'm trying to get at. It's been plural days that you've had those excessive heat warnings. Again, I'm holding on to this count that hopefully it only happens once. It only happened once. I think it was 2 Fridays ago. I could be wrong with that, but on the exact day. But the point is, we're at a 1 count for an excessive heat warning here for today, and thankfully nothing much has happened since. Now, I usually know, and during the dog days of summer, most of what we're starting to track is what's going on in the tropics. We kind of knew that. Well, I wouldn't say knew that, but we kind of keep that first alert in people's minds always because usually, especially in summer standards, when we're sometimes stuck in these dry, long periods, sometimes anything coming off of the tropics is usually our only source of moisture. You could even say that's technically what's giving us storms over the next couple of days. But we found out last year from Beryl of what the damage of a tropical system can do. And I know you guys were a little bit a part of that as well, with some tornadic systems that happen around there. Can you kind of tell me and work me through what happened with Barrow through your eyes last year, as it happened last July, and just how you're keeping people obviously aware of the tropics here, and what your thoughts are on the tropics moving forward over the next couple months?
Oh, I would say for us, we only got like maybe a few tornado warnings. I think it was north of I-20 of that nature. I know most of the warnings happened to our east, impacting you guys. But we didn't have as many warnings, thankfully. But still, moving forward, we all know that tropical storms can produce tornadoes and things of that nature, heavy rain, flooding. And so that's one of the things that, try to let people know, like, hey, tropical storms are not to be taken lightly just because they are, not hurricanes or anything like that. But outside of that, with the tropics moving forward, I mean, we started off with everything being pretty quiet, and then just like that, the tropics just started heating up in the Atlantic Basin, and that's what we're dealing with now. Just a lot of different areas of interest, which thankfully 2 of those areas are very low, like you mentioned. But we are looking at Aaron, which will likely not impact the Arkla Miss or even the Arkla Tex region. But fingers crossed that it doesn't. But as of now, it's looking like that's not the case. But of course, moving forward, we always just try to make sure that people do not let their guard down. It's still hurricane season; things can change between now and then. We're still not even at the peak of hurricane season yet, which is in September. So, a lot going on, and hopefully we could see a downward trend as we get to September. But statistically speaking, we know that's usually not the case.
There's 3 main months for this. Obviously, it's kind of August, September, October. That's what you watch out for. If you remember Hurricane Michael that hit Panama City a few years ago, that happened around Halloween. So we still got a long ways to go through this. Obviously, Hurricane Michael, one of the few tropical systems to make landfall as a Cat 5 back in 2018, for those of you that remember that. So, again, next 3 months, to keep yourself aware. And if you look at that satellite picture behind Aaron, if we're talking like further on into Africa, there's still more waves. It's a stormy Central African continent right now, as all of those waves are trying to move westward out towards sea, towards the Atlantic Ocean. So it's quite wild here. Thankfully, the Gulf has been fairly tame, but I always consider it like sometimes I always call it like a hot tub because of how hot it can be. And over the next several months, now, again, as you mentioned, thankfully Aaron shouldn't be hopefully hitting us per se, but it's been wild. So, one other thing I want to ask, especially with the rain totals, especially because this is, I believe, one of our, as I kind of mentioned earlier, it's usually one of our drier months is during the summer, especially when there's nothing going on in the Gulf. How are you doing on, I guess, rain totals and the drought monitor per se coming up? And are you worried about running a little more into the drought monitor now that we're into the summer months?
So at first I was, because I know there was a period where we weren't like receiving as much rain, but I just, constantly make sure I check the drought monitor every Thursday when it, updates, and I've seen maybe like a few areas where it's like abnormally dry, but nothing out of the ordinary. And also considering that we are expecting rain just about each day throughout this week. And then we also had for at least a surprise rain event on Saturday. That, dumped like a heavy rain across good chunks of the area. So a good chunk of the area.
You said that came to you as a little surprise back on Saturday? It was this past Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was actually supposed to be dry, and models did not do well with that. It actually showed, at least for our area, dry. And oh behold, storms just blew up and it dumped heavy rain, and it continued for a little minute. So that was like, oh, okay, surprise. But no one complained. I'm sure we did not hear anyone complain, at least from my end, given that it, cooled us down. But outside of that, it was just, oh, okay, well, hello.
Yeah. I think from this past weekend, originally earlier last week, say on like Monday and Tuesday, we were projecting the weekend to be completely dry. And then I think a little closer into it, we realized, okay, there might be a few cells popping up, and sure enough, lo and behold, I had a 10% rain chance for Saturday and Sunday back on, I think as late as Thursday, and then we took a look at the Friday models for the weekend, and again, this is all previous. It's all from this past weekend. This previous Friday's models for this past weekend, it really started to ramp up that rain chance really quickly. I wouldn't say really quickly, but essentially we did find a good amount of rain, still a couple storms around that moved from Monroe westward into the Arklatex towards our region. I got a little brief downpour in Shreveport and Bossier, and the last thing I want to say before you get to the point, it was quite weird because I feel like this is the appetizer before what's to come here this week, and it was one of the few rare times that I had like a spring shower. We had a spring shower around where it's nothing but sunlight ahead and you just watch the downpours come on you. I'm not sure in my instances where to like leave my like truck lights on, you know what I'm talking about? Because it's still completely sunny out and people can still see you, but it's pouring, raining. Like I know you're supposed to have your lights on, but anyways, go ahead, continue your point.
I was about to say, the thing is, like, we look at the short range computer models and things like that. And just funny enough, like earlier in the week, it was hinting at, some showers over the weekend. And then it started trending drier for Saturday, but not Sunday. And so, and I looked at the graph model, our in-house model, the HER, the NAM, and it was just showing mainly dry conditions for Saturday, at least from when I was forecasting, except for Sunday. It was showing something for Sunday. And oh, behold, it was flipped. It was the other way around.
Huh.
So it was like, wow, okay.
It's the old switcheroo. God, that's infuriating though. Like on a forecast for me, if I say like, okay guys, it's gonna be sunny on Saturday, rainy on Sunday, and then it's the other way around. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw that like look from you. Yeah. It's not fun. Because then it's like, what did I miss out on?
But that's the thing with computer models. They do the best they can. Sometimes they just, basically hit or miss sometimes. In this case, yeah.
Fair enough. I think I just got one last question for you, but just moving forward. Just to give peeps, what are you looking forward to for the rest of summer, so to speak? Like, what do you want the weather to be? I know there's like expectations to what it is. It's gonna be hot, sunny, that kind of thing. But are you wishing for a little cool down to happen? Do you want a little rain in the picture? What's the best thing for you climatologically speaking, especially to stay out of that drought trend that you were briefly talking about?
I would definitely say, I guess, more rain chances. I mean, I say that now, but after we get to this week, that may change. But for the most part, I would say more rain chances. Right now we're at a surplus in terms of rain thus far for the year, and we don't want to fall into a deficit. So, just keeping the rain totals up there around average, like we should, and obviously with the rain comes cooler, like you said earlier, it drops it down by a few degrees, but hey, that's better than nothing. So yeah, definitely rain.
Yeah, and then I feel like it always gets to the point of where, how much rain do you want? Do you really want all that tropical moisture to just come in, filing in all at once? No. Yeah, exactly. Because then that leads to all the flash flooding issues, and obviously from Beryl, what we got last year even leads to some tornadic reports. Oh, that was brutal last July. Hopefully that does not happen again this year for either of us. I have wood here that I just knocked on.
Same here.
But anyways, thank you very much for joining me, Devonte, for coming on the podcast again. And I'll look forward to probably speaking with you in another couple months or sooner in person. We'll see. Hint, hint.
Well, I am planning on. Well, I do have Thursday and Friday off, so may have to take a trip to Shreveport.
Ooh, you betcha. Maybe. We'll see. All right, anyways, thank y'all for joining the First Start with a Breakdown here for the day today. I really appreciate it. Hasta la vista. We will see you later. The podcast will be back on tomorrow at 10:30. CJ Cartledge will be your host for you then as well. We'll have more on that. more on how the tropics are evolving, more on the rain, that kind of thing in Spiel. Again, all that's going to be coming up in just a little bit. Thank you very much for joining us on First Weather Breakdown. CJ Cartledge again will be your host tomorrow. He'll have more about the tropics for you then, specifically. That's going to be our exclusive content and going a lot more into depth about what's going on with the tropics here for tomorrow. All right, join us then. We'll also have a Met Chat coming up later this week. That'll be exciting. That'll be something to look a little bit later on forward to. But anyways, join us again tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square. Most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.